Hey, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to learn about how can you plan Azure migration. Before planning Azure migration, you can use a framework of assess, migrate, optimize, and monitor as a path for migration. Each stage focuses on an aspect of ensuring the success of a migration. First, let's look into the assess stage, which is discovery and evaluation. So, start with a full assessment of your current environment. Identify the servers, applications, and services that are in scope for migration. You can then bring in the IT and business teams that work with these services. Next step is to produce a full inventory and a dependency map of servers and services that are in scope for migration. For each application, there are multiple migration options: rehost, refactor, re-architect, rebuild, or replace. So, what is rehost? Rehost is where you recreate your existing infrastructure in Azure. Refactor is where you move services running on virtual machine to platform as a services. Re-architect is where you might be forced to re-architect some systems so that they can be migrated. Rebuild is where you might need to rebuild software if the cost to re-architect is more than that of starting from scratch. Replace is where you are reviewing your estate. It's possible you will find that third party application could completely replace your custom application. And you might evaluate software as a service option that can be used to replace existing applications. Second stage is migrate. It's often best to start with small migration instead of migrating a large business critical workload. This approach lets you become familiar with the tools, processes, and procedures for migration, and it can reduce the risk of issues when you migrate larger workloads. As you become more comfortable with the migration process, you can progress to larger and more business critical workloads, and each tool will guide you through the migration. After all migrated workloads has been tested and verified as successfully migrated to Azure, you can decommission all your on-premises systems. Even after you decommission them, it can be useful to keep backups and archive data from the migrated systems. This practice gives you a historical archive of data in case it's needed. The data could be stored on premises or in a cloud storage service such as Azure Blob Storage. These are some of the tools which can guide you through this migration. We will go through these steps in detail in the coming lessons, but some of the high level steps include preparing the source vCenter and target Azure environments, setting up and starting the replication between these two sites, test that the replication has worked, and failover from the source server to Azure. And some of the high level steps for a database migration include assessing your on premises databases, migrating the schemas, and creating and running the Azure Database Migration Service project to move the data. And finally, you can use monitoring to monitor your migration status. So after your services are migrated, it's important to optimize them to ensure that they are running as efficiently as possible from a cost and performance standpoint. Use Azure Cost Management to start analyzing your Azure cost at different management scopes. For example, by choosing a subscription in the portal, you can see a breakdown of all the resources for that subscription. Or you could view a resource group to see all the cost associated with all the resources in just the selected group. And Azure Cost Management shows you cost reduction advice from Azure Advisor. The advice includes suggestions like reducing the performance of underused VMs, making use of additional discounts, or reserving resources instead of paying as you go. Azure Advisor also shows you recommendations for network security, high availability, and performance. The last stage is Monitor. Azure Monitor can capture health and performance information from the Azure VMs if you install a log analytics agent. You can install the agent on machines running either Windows or Linux, and you can then set up alerting and reporting. It is also important to have event logging and visibility into security events across your enterprise. Azure Sentinel provides security information and event management SIM capabilities, along with artificial intelligence to help you protect against, detect, and respond to security events. This information helps security operations team triage critical alerts and prioritize work effectively. That concludes this episode. In the next lesson, we're going to learn about assessments using Azure Migrate. I will see you on the next one. Until then, take care.